friends with Sean and John.
Where is that record button? Up there
I see
it
it. There it
is.
is. There it is. There it's recording now.
Well,
Hello, little red light. And hello, Sean. How are you?
John, how are you?
I'm doing well. Doing well.
Excellent.
It's another beautiful Sunday.
We had another week.
We had another week, and
we survived.
Yeah, I'm surprised, honestly.
Yeah.
It was a tough one this week, but
Hey.
we got through it, man.
I think Jordan Peterson says life is suffering. I haven't, I think my life has been completely suffering, but I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's the kind of the fire that keeps you going, and it's the drive of life, maybe. But
I'm not trying.
Yeah, I want to try and tone
of
down the suffering a tad bit. But John, I'm happy you're here with me because
I'm happy to be here, my friend.
Because you're here with me, and we're amongst friends.
We're amongst friends today. Yes. I forgot our title for a second. I was like, are we amongst friends still? Or are we still amongst? Yes.
Are we amongst? Are we among?
Yeah. If you guys didn't know, we had a little bit of revelations in terms of what our name should be, and I gotta tell you guys really like the name Amongst Friends because it's not very original in terms of that, as we found out. We had to get creative. We did actually, in fact, make our Twitter account. We got that taken care of.
Yes.
We also have our email, which we're going to copy and put onto our SoundClouds. Yeah. We'll put it on Spotify. We'll put it on YouTube.
It's on Instagram.
We're trying
already.
Yeah. You put it on the grams?
It's on the gram, baby. It's on the gram. If you want to contact us, you find us on Instagram by Friends Amongst. You'll find me and John, and you can DM us and email us.
That's what we call a gram slam, if you will.
Yes, babe. Yeah. Boom. We're out here. You're able to connect to us, and that's what I want. I want people to reach out. I think we need. I need a more stable and vast support network. And I got my partner, I got my family, but there's, and we're gonna get into this on today's episode actually, because there's different levels you keep everybody in your life at. Because when it comes to honesty and truthfulness, we all kind of have different levels on how we operate.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, I feel like everybody's concept of what honesty means to them
exactly
is very different.
It's
and I think that we get lost in translation in between that too, with individuals, with relationships, with day-to-day life. It's hard. I think honesty is one of the toughest things that somebody that often doesn't feel very good has the most trouble doing.
Yeah, it's a huge spectrum of what you're willing to give out and what you're willing to hear. I learned that actually a couple of days ago, that honesty can make you hear what you want to hear, or truthfulness in a way. And we'll get into the nitty gritty details of that as we go on. And then, we said it a couple of times. Our episode today is about honesty and truthfulness. John, I think you gave us this wonderful idea.
I did, and I completely caught myself unprepared for anything that has to do with honesty. And this goes back to being human. This goes back to like understanding that shit happens. It's 2020. It's tough. It was a week, guys. You know what I mean? But honesty has been, and I do want to say this for anybody. Like, honesty is probably my hardest topic discussion to put onto the table. There's a lot of things that require us to be honest, and one of the biggest things that has caught my attention recently is vulnerability. It's really hard to have this concept of being a man, right, and being comfortable enough to be vulnerable. And for me, I was raised in an environment where it was not okay to be vulnerable, where it was not okay to and it's okay to raise your hand on that, and it's okay that you relate to this, but it was very difficult to have vulnerability growing up for me, and it made me less likely to reach out to people.
Yeah.
I think that was the beginning stages.
Yeah. I can tell you straight off the bat, when it came to my father, any thing that would happen inside the family circle, the family bubble,
stayed inside the circle.
It stayed inside the bubble, and that I was told that at a young age. So I kind of took that as like anything that happens inside this stays inside this.
Right.
And anything that happens that if it doesn't involve you, I'm not going to talk about it with you. And that has followed me like for the past 30 years, and I'm just slowly starting to chip away at that fence or that wall that I still do it to this day.
Oh, me too, dude. I that like I said before, that's my hardest scenario is to be honest. And I'll give you a great example in terms of like what something happened over the weekend. I was going to go see family down in the Cape May area. I have family that lives down there, and we were getting all ready to pack up. We packed up the car, right? Coming from Philly, we made plans like last minute in terms of this. We found a nice little hotel, and we were just going to go for the weekend. And I got a call when I was filling up the gas on Friday night from my aunt, who said, "John, I think your grandfather has COVID. I took him to the hospital, and you need to self-quarantine." Yeah, you need to quarantine.
I'm learning this right now. Okay.
Yeah. So guys, here the TLDR on this was that John freaked out and couldn't have a nice vacation because he's crazy. But we were both really upset. Me and my partner, we were really upset. We were driving back home, and we were like, "Why is this happening?" And blah blah blah. And I had some stuff packed away for a little extravagance with a family member, and it was a weed brownie. I got a weed brownie packed away for the future. I was like, yeah, let's do this. And I was so upset by what happened and not able to discuss it with my partner, discuss it with a friend, discuss it with anybody that I made my own bet. Like I ate the whole damn thing. Right. And I go literally crazy.
Dude,
I did.
I can't. Oof.
I ate that whole pot brownie just like in one sitting, and then I was like, I don't feel good, and I just like started to like detach from reality, and it was like one of the weirdest and scariest feelings that I ever had. And the reason that we're bringing this up right now is because like if I was just honest that I wasn't feeling good, if I was just able to tell somebody that I want to do some harm to myself, and like harm can come in a lot of different ways, ladies and gentlemen. For me, harm came into a point where I wanted to get so fucked up that I not only did I want to think, but I did not want to be part of reality. Yeah,
dude.
And go ahead.
No, it's a level of almost I can 100% feel you, because for me it's a level of like psychosis that I kind of put myself into when I smoke even like a couple hits out of a bowl. I'll be sitting there in bed.
But I've never had that happen before. It was like the first time where I was literally not okay. I could always keep it together. I'm so good at it. And that's again going back to that part about honesty. Being honest with I guess yourself and being like, dude, like I'm just not okay. How often do you like somebody says, "Oh, Sean, how are you?" And you're like, "I'm fine. Like exactly. I'm great. Like I'm having the best day. Like whatever." And it's not real. Like at least it wasn't for me. Like when somebody asks John, like, "How are you feeling today?" I'm like, "I'm cool, dude. Don't even worry about it."
Exactly. Yeah. Actually, the one of the videos I watched about truthfulness. It was like when you reply fine or good, the guy broke it down into an acronym, and I'm retarded for not writing it down. I should have wrote it down, but he said like, yeah, when you say good, you mean like God, awful, it
was like good orderly direction or something like that.
Exactly. Like, and when he says fine, it's like fucking insane. Now everything,
now everything. Every villain is lemon.
When someone asks you how are you, and this was a joke I would say for the longest time. I'd be like, well, I'm okay. Well, everything's falling apart, but you don't want to talk about that, because when someone asks you, how are you? They're not looking, I mean, they're never really asking, how are you? It's kind of like
No.
it's like a,
I think it's like a code
yeah,
term of like,
yeah,
hey,
it's
do you
like,
do you
acknowledge
need some
me.
shit out? Like, yeah,
Yeah,
acknowledge, like I'm talking to
acknowledge
you.
me. If we can acknowledge each other's presence, that's all we need out of this communication right now. But it's
did you ever have somebody that was just like, when you asked them, they just gave you like such a crazy answer?
Dude, there's always that one person we all work with. We all work with that one person.
I don't think I'm expressing it like well in terms of that. I'm thinking about my dad, honestly. And one of the things that he would always say, if I asked him how he was doing, he's like, "I've never had a bad day in my life," and he's having it like. That's how I knew.
Yeah,
like,
right. Like all the tires are flat.
Yeah,
cars overheating. Ripped
Everybody's
his pants.
late. Yeah. He's like, I've never had a bad day in my life, John. I'm like, oh, okay, I know.
I was gonna go the other way because I have always had that person, and I'm sure you have too.
Mm-hmm.
You ask them how you doing, and they start unleashing this downpour of depression.
Yeah.
It's like,
I do have a friend that's like that, and he's, and I don't want to like throw him under the bus in terms of this. He's a really great guy.
But we don't know him.
Huh?
We don't know him, so
yeah, it's true. So this person, he's got like a really debilitating disease, and what happens is like all of the joints in his body dislocate. Oof. All of them, and I don't know, and there's ones in there that I didn't even know like you could like pop out, like his rib cage started popping out, and like the skull, like, did you know like your cranium itself was a joint?
What?
Yes. Yeah,
I know when you're a baby, your skull is like
there's 3 or 4 individual. I think it's just 3. There's 3 plates that like run across your skull, and his dislocate. Insane. And he's hurting all the time.
I am sorry for that person. I know they don't probably want any pity, but
they don't.
Yeah, but wow, that's something. Wow, I didn't know.
They can't help but talk about how much they're suffering, and it's like it's really hard to hear that because like you want to support your friend, you want to see that, but then they start talking crazy, and they go into the talk that like everything's out to get them, and
dude, I also have that friend. He always thought the world was out to get him.
I know.
And he's like every day he's in and out of the hospital. And I think half of those stories were true because he's kind of one of those people that kind of like he wants you to feed off of his misery. And it was like I would have to always change the subject because I'd be up here and he'd bring me down.
Yeah.
And it's like, I do want to show you I care. I do. But like, this is like a little bit too much. Like,
well, the old adage there is like, misery loves company, right?
Yeah. There's also another thing, being an emotional vampire.
Ooh.
Yes. That's a beautiful terminology.
Speaking of vampires in general, have you ever watched What We Do in the Shadows?
Yes, I watched the movie.
But have you watched the series?
I haven't yet.
You should, because
you told me. Yeah,
there's an emotional vampire right in there, and he's fucking hilarious. And you would get a kick out of it. I kid you not. You like Tremaine Clement, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's there sometimes.
Was my shit. Yeah.
I know. I remember. You know what still got me every time I think about it is like that one episode where they get big with the dog guy, and then they were like, and who's their manager? What's his name?
Murray. There you go.
And he gets to go to have lunch with Tori Amos.
Dude, Murray was the glue that kind of held that show together.
I know, yeah.
Reese Darby, I think is his name.
Is that his name?
Seriously, I think I actually kind of have a warm spot for all New Zealand actors. Ever since I guess Lord of the Rings or whatever. And who's
been really taking. I agree with Lord of the Rings in terms of that, but Taika Waititi.
Waititi.
I thought it was Waititi.
Sorry.
Listen, if you're listening, we're sorry.
Yeah, ignorant.
We apologize. Yeah, we're gonna get there. We're going by memory. How about that? Yeah.
I'm not looking this up.
Yeah, I'm not looking this up right now.
He is an amazing director.
Yeah.
The movie he just came out with last Jojo the Rabbit.
Jojo Rabbit.
Mm-hmm. Dude, that movie had me laughing and crying.
The
same scenes. I was like, that got dark. But it's a powerful movie, and I think he has a great sense of humor. I watched a TED Talk, I think, with him back in 2012, before he was really big, before Thor and everything. And forgive me for not remembering what the TED Talk was about, but I remember enjoying it a lot.
Yeah.
So
he's a good guy.
Yeah. But back to honesty. Let's get
right back into the
let's go into a straight definition for it. Adherence to the facts.
Adherence to the facts.
That is fairness and straightforwardness would be another, a fairness, straightforwardness of conduct. And that can go. You can be. I think there's I believe 2 types of honesty. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of truth. I'm going to backtrack. Abstract that.
But before you go into further detail, you're saying honesty and you're saying truth.
Yes.
What's the difference between those two?
Well, truth it can be 2 things. You can have empirical truth and you can have convenient truth. Empirical truth is truth that is based on evidence, research, and reason. Convenient truth is truth based on needs. A convenient truth is what politicians use. They warp what the truth is, like global warming, for example, to help fit whatever narrative they're trying to achieve.
I see.
Global warming is actually a perfect topic because it's not a theory; it's fact.
It's actually fact now.
It's truth. So to deny
Scientists,
it's
politicians,
it's flat Earth.
World leaders. Yeah, flat Earth. Wait, is it?
But you can honestly believe that those are true. So that's I think how they go hand in hand. I think honesty is exactly what you want it to be for yourself. People have noted before that too much honesty might be like undisciplined openness.
Yep.
Because you don't want to just spurt out everything that you don't want to walk down the street and call everybody out for what they look like or how they make you feel. Keep that stuff inside.
It makes me think about brutally honest and using words against people to make them feel a certain way. And it goes back into I don't know how to describe it. White magic, black magic. How about that? Mm-hmm. So I could say to you, you're singing. How about that? Let's do singing. Singing is important to you and you sing every day and you love it and you get a great joy out of it. And then somebody you really care about says, you should really stop singing. How would you feel if that was
soul crushing? Yeah.
Soul crushing.
It is. It's
debilitating.
Really crushing.
Yeah. And that person may never sing again. It could have been. They could have been doing honest. Yeah.
So,
but see, are they using honesty as a means to hurt, or are they using honesty as a means to heal?
I mean, that would be a weapon. In my book.
That would be a weapon.
And that would tie back into our last episode because I would get angry probably right after that, and I would probably try to violently attack back or make them feel exactly how I feel. So that's exactly what it is. Honesty is also it's part of your moral character. I found all of this, I believe, on Wikipedia. April 30th, however, is National Honest Day. So,
April 30th day is?
April 30th is National Honest Day in the United States. So
everybody, I'm going to write that down.
On April 30th, be extra honest.
Right. Be extra honest with yourselves and then with me.
So back to especially me. Back to moral character.
I think people have a hard time with the concept of what morality and moral means. To me, morality can be sometimes a little bit scary because if we think that we're not great people, or if we're really down on ourselves, or we like keep beating ourselves up, that sense of being moral could be debilitating for us to continue moving forward and making ourselves feel better.
Yes.
But you know, we could just take it as a sense of like what we want to keep in terms of that. You don't have to use the word moral. You could just keep it as like a pro
virtues, empathy,
principle,
courage, fortitude. Yes, loyalty.
There's
habits,
a lot of different things. Habits is probably the best concept. Habits is great. So I forgot where we were going with this in terms of that, but morality in that sense is a little complicated in that we don't like feeling like our actions are being not only judged by other people but by ourselves or by a higher power. You know, I think that makes the concept of honesty harder, especially when we fear something that we're gonna lose. Like, let me ask you this in terms of this, Sean. What's something that's hard for you to be honest about?
Well, there's a million things that are hard
to be honest
right? About. But the first one that comes to my mind is just saying how I feel about like doing activities or doing things.
Yeah.
Because I find, especially after being like quarantined and lockdown this entire year, going out and doing things, like it gives me anxiety and like I just want to stay in my bubble.
Yeah,
and
I feel
it's
that.
hard for me to be honest with my partner about how I feel about that. And you know, I guess, and because of that, you know, I end up getting quiet, and that's where my temper then comes back into, and like it's like night and day. All of a sudden, I'm quiet, and I'm
when you go into that quiet phase, right? Do you feel like you're pushing stuff down?
Yes.
Like pushing down like how you feel about the scenario. Why though? Like, why do you feel like you have to like stuff it down instead of just like convenience?
Because I don't want to talk about it right then and there. I'm afraid it's going to cause
something
fight, and especially if it's going to see like my partner's family. They live like 40 minutes away, and like I always feel like a kind of like a fish out of water when I'm over there. I mean, I do get along great with everyone. You know, I always end up having a good time, but the initial you know, push for me to want to go like is like it's slim to non-existent. So like that ends up making me, you know, it puts me on edge. I get quiet, I don't express how I feel, and that's where my tempers come into play, like I already mentioned. And now that I'm being more aware of this, I want to start, you know, in easy ways communicating how I feel. And I watched an awesome TED Talk, and I apologize for not writing this one down.
We're gonna write these down, damn it.
I sent it to you.
Is this the one? Yeah.
I might be able to pick it up real quick, just so I can shout out the title of it.
Well, while you're doing that, I'm going to start saying, like, you know, like you talked about how you start to get quiet, how you start to become more internalized in how you feel. And like the things that happen to me and that is my honesty doesn't have to necessarily be words. My dishonesty can come out in different ways, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to come through just general lying. Like here's the concept for you. If you are masking the truth, if you are intentionally hiding the truth, right? Is that considered lying?
I mean, yes. I mean,
I agree.
Yes,
I just it's hard. Again, because
I'm working with that too. It's like, wait, is it? Yeah.
It's hard for me to admit that it is because you know, I'm a very private person in regards to those things. I don't want people really to go inside and look at some of the shit that I don't like.
Do you know? I think that comes from how we fear rejection. We fear people looking at us with the magnifying glass, looking at us for something that, you know, other than the character and ego I have portrayed to you as Sean, I'm afraid that you're going to see past that and see the weasel of a person I can be when I let
You're not
myself.
a weasel.
Well, we all have the ability to be weasel. We all have the ability. That YouTube video I was talking about, which ties in perfectly with this. It was a TED Talk, Vulnerable Honesty by Yoram Mazanes. I'm sorry, horrible. He talks about how when you're being honest, you're either the jackal or you're the giraffe. The jackal is quick witty and kind of makes shortcuts and goes around to suit what his needs are, while the giraffe is very straightforward and open and very nice and pleasant.
And really tall.
Yes, and really tall.
And really tall.
Gets those goddamn leads.
Yeah, exactly. And that tongue that reaches like across the table, hell yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the point is that we all are the jackal and we all are the giraffe.
I feel like I operate like the jackal a lot more than I do the giraffe, though.
I know I do. And that gets me into kind of another point I wanted to make is, why I think I do this is not just out of my own convenience, but I make the lies because I feel like it's also it's protecting me somehow. In a way that
I also feel like that. I also feel like my lies are there to protect something important that I don't want.
I want to try and control. I want to try and control the narrative.
Control the narrative. That's a very intuitive point. Yeah.
I realized I've already mentioned this before. I realized I'm a very type A controlling personality. And I didn't mean to end up being this. It just over the years I developed into this. And I think where the kind of the fuel to the fire is, I also think, for a quick example, my partner, I assume that they're doing the same thing. I assume that they are also not telling the whole truth and they're sprinkling a little truth on top of the cake of honesty. And, I feel like I'm doing the same thing back. And I, cause we all, again, it's hard for us all to be 100% honest. So I feel like, well, they're not being honest. So I'm not going to be 100% honest. And I feel like it's like the equilibrium, I feel like it's the homeostasis. It's the normal.
I see that concept, and what I see myself struggling with a little bit more is sometimes the dishonesty sounds way better than the truth.
Yes.
The lie, yes. And I don't know why that is. I don't know why it's so important for me to lie to you about, let's say, for instance, and it can be something so silly of like what I chose for lunch. Sometimes I don't want you to know that I ate like 9 cans of Chef Boyardee. You know what I mean? That's not how I like it. Like sometimes I just had a peanut butter and jelly.
I haven't had vegetables all day, but I don't want to say that because
I also think McDonald's French fries are a vegetable. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
I don't want you guys to know about those things.
And what this is another great point. Willie Early, a physician and teacher, I quoted him at, "Secrets have a way of trapping you in a life you don't want."
Wow.
And I will raise my hands for that because, like, for example, drug use is perfect for this. If I lie about, what drugs I'm taking to my family or partner, I then have to hold up to that expectation that they think of me. And now I'm trapped keeping this lie going. And that's not a life that I want to live. I don't feel good doing that. And every time the conversation comes up, I'm reminded of how much of a scumbag I am for making up this lie in the first place.
I know. And me too. I totally understand how that feels.
My most recent drug that I just cut the leash with is kratom. And kratom is completely legal in this state. I think in most of the United States. And
can I ask something real fast before you continue? What is kratom? What is it?
Kratom or
Kratom or
kratom
kratom?
is a plant in the coffee family that kind of it grows in like Thailand, and basically the leaves are harvested and crushed up, and you can chew on the leaves raw, or you can brew the leaves into a tea or a tincture, and
Okay.
people drink it, or they eat the leaf powder raw or with water, and it gives you a little euphoria. It gives you a little boost of energy, but in higher doses, it gives you pain killing and sedative effects. So in essence, it is a mind altering drug, and it is
it acts
also
like a depressant. Is that what it does?
it
Or is
can
it a
be
stimulant?
in small doses. It's a stimulant. In large doses, it's a depressant. It's definitely sedative. And there's different strains. I don't want to get into all that, but what I didn't know getting into it originally down in Florida is how addictive it is, and I mean physically addictive. I just got off of it. I was getting cold sweats. I was getting twitchy. My nose was getting runny. My attitude was fucking shot.
Bro, congratulations on that, by the way.
Yeah, dude. Luckily, my partner she was out of the apartment, and I was able to go through these crazy mood swings and depression without them around. So, because that was always like, I don't want to be a dick all day, so I'll have a little kratom just so I'm not a dick. And that turns into, I'll have a little bit more because I want to have energy to play a video game or to go on a walk. Oh, I have a little bit more so I get hungry. And it's just like, it just keeps going.
I think that's an interesting concept now that you bring it up. Is the addiction of more, and like you hear it sometimes. Like for me personally, it's hard for me to stay that's enough when I am like smoking weed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I need one more to go to bed. Like I need one more to get up and go and do my stuff. Like I need one more while I'm driving down the highway.
Exactly.
To me, it doesn't feel like it's never enough.
Yeah. What do they say?
One is
too many, and 1,000 is never
enough. So if you're in recovery, guys, and you hear that really is true. Not to sound like cliche or anything like that, but it's hard for us to concept of being satisfied.
And my self-control with it was completely gone. I wasn't as bad as someone else that you and me know, or other people that I know, and I always use that as an excuse. Well, I'm not as bad as them. And, I used to work with people that were like eating grams of it, like
grams of it,
a lot of it.
How much are you supposed to do at a time in that sense?
There's no supposed to.
Okay.
On average, I think it's 3 to like 6 grams of raw powder. Mixed with water, or just straight parachuting or whatever. I think that's the average that people do, but I've seen people do that, and then 20 minutes later do some more, and then an hour later do some more. For me, I'd wake up and I would have I usually have like 3 grams, but by noon I would have like 4 or 5 grams just to get me through the rest of the day. And then at nighttime, I would have, I'd probably drop it back down to like just a couple, like maybe 2 or 3 grams, just so I could sleep through the night.
Right.
Because I would wake up, in a cold sweat, flopping and twitching on the bed. So it was really hard for me to be honest about how much I was doing, and this is with myself, how much I was doing, how it was affecting me, and how it made my partner feel, and because I would turn a blind eye to that completely.
And that brings up another good point too, is like, how does your partner, or what does your partner require in terms of honesty?
Again,
because like my partner in my situation, she deserves honesty, that's exactly what my brain tells me that it should be. They deserve honesty. They deserve to know the truth. They deserve this. But at the same time, there's like this weird like adversary that says like, she doesn't need to know this.
No,
You know,
exactly. There's that other voice in your head. It's like,
there's that other voice in your
you
head. Yeah.
know, this is gonna be a fight right now. So let's
Mhm.
let's
Let's save
let's
this for
pretend.
later.
Yeah, right. Like
Yeah,
let's
save or
pretend.
pretend. Yes.
And again, that's we're using truth at our own, or honesty at our own convenience. You know,
Mhm.
we sometimes fail to tell the truth, and we tell these little white lies. We struggle with the truth because we have difficulty hearing the truth. If we acknowledge that our mates are telling the little white lies, then we have to deal with the anxiety of, you know, what their truth actually is. So it's easier for us to you know, put everything onto these different percentages, because if we get the whole truth, we might not like that person. You know, like you might have to reevaluate your relationship. And I got all this from that uh, teacher, Willie Early, like
Mhm.
because he was talking about his divorce with his first wife. He realized that he got married because, you know, society and tradition told him it was the right thing to do. So he got married, and a couple years later, he realized that he still wanted to sleep with other people. And this is, you know, I think 90% of divorces are because of, you know, people going out and sleeping around.
Right.
And
Infidelity.
he realized that he didn't want to lie to his wife, so he was honest to his wife. She reevaluated and realized, well, he's honest, but I don't like this guy. So that's where the divorce started. And I think we all kind of, I mean, I think we all do that on a level that we hide these, you know, these truths are not self-evident, but we hold these truths um, because we're afraid of really looking at that person, or looking,
At
you know, like
ourselves.
in the mirror, you know, like.
Mhm.
And I do that a lot. I'll look at myself like in the mirror, and I'll be like, you know, fucking don't fucking lie, man. You fucking be honest, man. And it's a struggle that, you know.
I shouldn't be laughing, but it's funny because I do the same thing
Yeah,
where
dude.
I try, like, I have this talk where I hype myself up about trying to be totally honest with everybody, and I'm like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna be completely bare honest, like I'm gonna rock around spiritually naked right now, and like it's not
Yeah, right. Like you feel like you're like enlightened, you know, you're
right.
floating, and you
But
know,
you
like
know what? You're still human. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I think it's important to realize and understand why honesty can set you free, and why
Yes,
honesty is
yes.
an antidote to some of the negative behaviors that happen in our day-to-day lives.
It
Because without the web of lies holding it all together, everything seems like it falls right into place, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Secrets have a way of draining your power.
Hmm.
Um, and I cannot recommend that TED talk from really early
Yeah, I'm glad
enough.
you brought that around again for the
Um,
for the full
yeah,
circle. Yeah.
because he again, like his, you know, his talk was honest, and it was honest that I actually heard, and that I'm going to now use in my daily life. You know, going forward. You know, again, I'm not going to drop the bar up to 100% honesty, just because I don't want to hurt feelings. And but I do no longer want to hold that feeling of like, oh shit, I should have said the truth, and now this person has a different idea of what's going on. I want to stop that completely. So I'm going to be proactive now on with moving forward with being more honest and more open, and allowing myself to get the repercussions right away from that, because
Absolutely.
the repercussions right away are a million times easier than the repercussions a month from now, or
6 months, a
God forbid
year.
a year.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's the
Imagine
worst.
having to lie for a whole year.
Dude,
And I'm
I've done
sure,
it. I've
and
done
I
it.
have too. And I'm sure some listeners have been lying to have lies in their past that like they have to deal with on a day-to-day too for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
And you know,
That leads to paranoia.
paranoia.
That leads to a whole, you know, like
Fear.
you said, it's a web. It's depression, it's anger, it's it's all connected. This is you know, there's really, you know, you just have to allow yourself to be vulnerable. You know, I know we keep saying that. And you just got to let yourself feel, let yourself get through with it. And I know it's really hard for men.
Yep.
I think you and me talked about this a little earlier, because men, I mean, a lot of us we're raised to be men, and not
this concept of men
yeah,
is kind of toxic in a lot of ways.
It really is. The toxic male ego, keep everything to yourself.
Be a tough guy. Don't
tough.
Cry. Don't let
be
people
the
know
stronger,
how.
Be the stronger one.
Yeah, exactly. And why do we do that? Like, what's what
that comes from wanting to control. It's wanting to control your environment, and control what's going on in your bubble. And there's a sense of entitlement and power that comes from that.
Mhm.
And yeah, because I guess the men can be more physically strong, that we think we are more mentally and spiritually strong, which it's just not true. And we also don't we don't we don't actively seek support. I mean, you might have one or two good male friends that you would consider best or close friends.
Correct.
But even with them, you don't give 100% honesty, and you don't get the support for choices and decisions that you need. And that causes, again, more depression and anger and spiraling discontent. And I do want to change that in my life too. Not just with my close friends like you right now, but I also want to get other support, and I want to grow that support circle, and I want to get different ideas and different opinions, and I'm open to suggestions. And that has been the hardest thing in my life so far.
I agree. I think
Asking for
suggestions are
help
one of the most
and
difficult things
taking
to get.
suggestions. And it's really hard to get, because you always think you're right. I always think I'm right. It's my way or the fucking highway.
Right. I have a technical difficulty. Give me 2 seconds.
Take your 2 seconds. I'm going to go into in his book, The Honest Truth About Dishonesty, Dan Ariely offers evidence that we are able to believe we're honest, even though we lie or cheat by doing so only in little ways. And I think I already talked about that a little bit before, but
or is this what you consider like
we convince ourselves? Yes, we convince ourselves that we're being honest, because what we're being dishonest about doesn't really matter.
Oh man, what a mindfuck!
And that comes from Psychology Today. That was an article by Alex Linkerman talking about the book The Honest Truth About Dishonesty by Dan Ariely, and that we're only dishonest in ways that we don't think matter. And that really struck a chord with me, because that's me 100%. I lie about not eating vegetables today, because it's just one time I'm not eating vegetables. It doesn't fucking matter. But in the grand scheme of things, I should eat more vegetables, because I need those vitamins and fibers. And my partner is really big on that. And I got to be honest about that, because it would make both of us spiritually feel better. And at the end of the day, I think that's what we want.
I think that it's always so much simpler, despite the difficulty of just getting something out there. It's so much simpler just to say the truth than it is to build up this foundation of lies.
It's gonna feel better, and
it's gonna feel better. Yeah,
you already know that. Like we're gonna feel better.
And as a wise man once said to me, the truth will set you free.
Yes. Yeah. God, that I wish, and I've seen people with their tattoos, truth, honesty.
Yeah.
And there is, I think, an otherworldly or like there is like a zen, there is a zen-like feeling that comes from being honest and with yourself and with.
I think it's integrity. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, good, perfect. That is exactly what it is.
Yeah. I think that the concept of integrity allows you to start to like feel that passion again, that soul fire, if you will. And what that allows us to do is to be comfortable, A, being in our own skin, B, being in the world that we live in, and C, being comfortable with the people that we share it with.
Yeah, avoiding consequences, shame, embarrassment, conflict. Those are the things. Like these are the things that we're trying to avoid. We're trying to protect our interests, protect our image, our resources, and others. We're not, it's so amazing how and I tried to get into Aristotle ethics.
Aristotle.
This is written in a different language, unfortunately.
Sometimes is there? What language
well, is it? No, it's written in Greek, obviously, but when they translate it, they have all like the sub translations of what he could have meant this, he could have meant that,
and it's all Greek to me.
And honestly, I tried getting into book 6 of ethics, where he goes into truth and the different parts of truth. But again, it's like he ties it in with intellect, that truth comes from intellect, and trying to obtain it's too much. It's too much for me to try and decipher. So I'm gonna cut it out of the whole talk. But there are,
instead of that, how could it? Go ahead.
No. I did find a man named Gregory B. Sadler on YouTube does break it down in a professor sort of way. He talks about the philosophy core concepts of what Aristotle's trying to say in English. So if anyone wants to do that, I will in the video I'll have a couple links to these on YouTube at least. I'll have all the links to all these talks and the websites in our description on YouTube for the video. The podcast alone, you're just gonna have to find it yourself.
It. Yeah.
God,
yeah, that's what we had to do. Damn it, we had to create one.
No, again, I'm not digging deep. I'm not going on Google like 10 pages in.
No,
all these things and YouTube, all these things are the first things that kind of pop up, the most picked, and because I do think people do think alike most of the time.
9 times out of 10, everything that I give you in terms of like facts and information is like the first page of Google.
Exactly. I'm not gonna,
I don't even open up the page. Dig. It's coming off of the Google page.
I can dig, but I'm reading the sub.
Yeah, this is the subtitle, like the little synopsis, if you will, that they give you.
No, but again, we can all do the research ourselves. We can all do the footwork, and it should be up to you. Actually, I think, and I do encourage everyone to go out and research and see how don't listen to me and take what I'm saying for scripture.
Please don't listen to just us.
Do the footwork.
It helps when somebody has experience to give, and it's also really beneficial when somebody's willing to give a suggestion.
Yes,
but ultimately, this falls onto the individual. The concept of being honest is a very personal goal, I feel. And it's something that we try to do for the betterment of ourselves and for our family and our loved ones. And it brings me a certain amount of integrity to the table, as we were discussing before.
Sorry, continue. No.
Here's a place that I've been at, due to lying, and I've had no money in my bank account. I just broke my car axle and I had zero money to pay for it, and I was late for work and I was high as a kite. And the only thing that I wanted everybody to not know was how high as a kite I was in that concept. I didn't want them, like, I gladly tell them about the car, gladly tell them that I broke the car. Don't tell them how I broke the car as the mind state.
Yes. No.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if I was just honest, in those concepts, like if I just told somebody like I'm fucking up, how much easier that may have been than just trying to continue the lie.
Trying to continue the story.
The persona of everything is just cool. Like Three Little Fonzies.
Hey. No, and I think there is a benefit for everyone to be honest. I think society will, I think we can be better as a whole, and that
I agree.
it leads. I think it leads to a lot.
But I think that also opens up another question: is like, who in society is really being honest to us?
Yeah, because I fall in that category of, I think the media, the news outlets are constantly lying. I
Mm-hmm.
think the government is constantly lying.
And it's hard not to at this point. You know what I
believe in
mean?
conspiracies.
Yeah.
I believe that, like JFK, I don't think Lee Harvey Oswald was alone in his actions. But because if you have something to gain from a certain situation, you might lie and cheat and steal to get there. And
right.
When I was back in my days when I was running around, lost to my drug addictions, I would say whatever the fuck I had to. And I've been in interrogation rooms with cops. I've had good cop, bad cop happen at me. I've had 2 small town cops think it was funny to play good cop, bad cop, trying to get information out of me. And I still, they caught me in a lie, and I spun another lie right out of that.
Right out of there.
That shit up, and it was just like, they because they were lying with themselves on what the hell they wanted to hear, and
right.
There's a crazy conversation happening when 2 people are just lying at each other. Like, what is going on there?
Well, how do you distinguish values if you don't have anything to value it on? Yeah. And I think that brings up what I was trying to bring up with how your partner feels about the concept of truth and lying. And, because everybody's opinion about that varies. It changes. And then you have to use, you can't just go off of like what you think is the right thing anymore.
Exactly. Like my partner just doesn't, my partner, they want to hear honesty and truth, but they don't want to hear that, well, I think that person's attractive. They don't want to hear that because that gets them going.
And then there we go. That's the black magic again, yes. or the brutal honesty.
Yes.
So there's always a little bit of a fine line and how we walk it. And we talked about another concept again today, which was integrity. And when you have the ability to be, I don't want to say integrated, because when you have integrity, when you walk with it, when you talk with it, when you when you bring it to your day-to-day life, your partner, you not only do you feel it, but everybody else around you feels it, yes. And then you could start to become something, what I call as
confident with that,
a beacon of hope, or pillar of hope.
Ooh, I would love to. Sign me up.
Yeah. And anybody, if you're listening to this, guess what, guys? You can be a beacon of hope. You can be a pillar of hope. You can be an inspiration. You could be a hero. These are things that if you feel like a piece of shit right now, you can get there. In the first step,
5 minutes.
And you'll hear it. You'll hear it in recovery. You'll hear it in life. You'll hear it from your father, your brother, your mother. It doesn't matter. Honesty is the first step into any direction of healing.
Yeah, you said it, dude. It can be, you can go from you're feeling so low and little to reaching out and talking with somebody, and then becoming honest about something that's been burdening you for a while, and it's seriously that weight is lifted and it's gone.
Right. And when you're honest too, you have so much potential to go anywhere in a conversation or anywhere in life, because you don't have to just lie and then just your lie has to be scripture. Thank you. And it's funny that's what we do. We make it scripture.
But you said being a beacon, as a server, I lie. It's my job to lie. Why is the steak taking so long? Well,
because I threw it on the ground.
Physics states that it has to cook for a certain amount of time over a specific heat, if you want it to be a specific temperature. I can't control these things, but I can control what I tell you, and you can control this. We can all control the level of honesty that we have. And there's so many things that we can't control that we try to.
Yeah, it's like you can't go and like, well, you order a well done steak. How long do you think it's going to take, pal?
Yeah. You know? Well, it's been 5 minutes. Where's my steak? And it's like, well, sir, sorry, whatever. The chef had to go do something.
Right.
I would
kill the cow. Yeah. He had to go get the sledgehammer to hit the cow guy.
Yeah, I would spin that tail so quickly.
Yeah,
to my benefit, because I'm looking for that tip.
I did too. When I was working in retail and there was something that happened either because of my own laziness, let's call it, let's say I goofed up. Yes. All right, John goofed up on something.
John's a human. What?
Yeah, and now like he has to be responsible for the actions. And guess what? I blame it on somebody else. I lie. I do. And I it's so easy to like make yourself like, I don't know what it is. I think it's really important for me to not be the bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yes. I have to make, again, you're trying to control your image. You're trying to control what that person sees you as.
Right.
And that's, again, you're kind of backing yourself into a corner there.
Right. You're really limiting your potential in terms of this.
So I would strive every once in a while as a server to be honest, to go up to my tables and be like, hey guys, I'm sorry, I forgot to punch it in. My fault 100%. I suck at my job. Just give it an extra 10 minutes. And the people would light up like, oh, it's okay. You're fine. I'll have another drink, actually. I'm like,
sometimes it's not bad to be vulnerable.
Dude,
and we fear. I'm going by just personal experience here. I'm so scared to give people bad news.
Yeah.
It's one of my biggest fears is like to give somebody news that's going to either hurt them or it's not going to be what they want to hear.
Beneficial to you,
Yeah.
And again, I feel like this is such a universal topic that we can seriously all learn from each other from. So like John, like what I want to suggest to you is, I think that you can control the truths, that the honesty that comes out of your mouth. And instead of trying to like, again, control that situation, be more open to what the truth is, and don't worry about what the consequence or the repercussion is going to be right away. I think,
and that's something that I always focus on too.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to not focus on the what comes next factor of being honest, because there's so many variables. And if I just like said to myself, be present in the moment while I give this honest statement, I feel like I would be able to have a better reaction, or a better control over lying, better control over being sincere, to have that integrity part of my life, and the worst thing that I think could happen out of that is just like, oh, well, that's not great news. Hey, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the worst that's going to happen is you're lying. The worst that's going to happen is it doesn't matter, because it's going to happen regardless. So I think we can all control the level and the limit of how much we hinder the truth and our own honesty,
or throttle it too.
Yeah. I mean, like I honestly think that we are. I think that we are actually in control of this, And some people,
maybe that's one of the things that we actually have control of.
Well, some people do lie compulsively. I know when I was, really lost in the fog, I would lie compulsively sometimes. I couldn't control it, and and this is 100% truth. I think, again, if you lie enough, you will tend to believe the lie.
Yeah.
And if you can convince yourself that this is the truth, then that makes you seem more honest. And that's even crazier, because the government lies to us all the time. And they shove it down our throats. For you and me, John, weapons of mass destruction in Iraq.
Oh yeah, I remember that in 2003.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And terrorism everywhere. every time I turn on the TV, terrorism.
Mhm.
I believed it. I
did too.
believed we were in danger.
Yeah,
I thought
all the
we were in
time.
fucking danger.
I thought we had to start learning how to like get under our desks in time,
Yeah,
just
dude,
in case like a nuclear bomb happened. Like
yeah.
I was terrified.
So
You know,
if you lied, Goebbels, it was Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister. If you lie to the
Ooh,
people enough, they will
start to
believe
believe
it.
it.
They will believe
Yeah.
it.
And it's kind of funny how like that's happening a little bit right now.
It's happening a lot right now.
Yeah, like
It's a lot.
you see. I don't again like being political here in our podcast is
I don't want to
difficult
be.
because
I don't want to be.
because we don't want to disclude anybody in terms
Yeah.
of these things.
Except Nazis. I'm sorry. If you're
Except
Nazi,
Nazis. I'm sorry. Fuck you guys.
I'm gonna. Yeah. I mean, you can comment your
Yeah,
comments. Comments.
I'm gonna read them. I'm
yeah,
just gonna I'm gonna disagree with you guys.
You can try and tell your point of view, but yeah, I don't think you're really welcome here.
If we go into something else, like let's talk about like social media for a minute in terms of like how they control honesty, or how they control
you control the image that people see,
or information too, for instance, because truth can be I feel like those two things are really skewed. In general, it's hard. Like, have you had to pay for like actual news?
I haven't paid for news, but that's
that's
a good point. That's
but
a
like
good,
people
are
really
like,
good point. They're like, you go to New York Times or you go to like other news.
You can't read the article. You gotta
because like you gotta pay this 99 cents to read this article.
Subscribe. So you're keeping what could be the truth. You know, I mean the truthful opinion. You're keeping that from the people. You're keeping that, and the fake news is everywhere. I don't have to pay for fake news.
It's so hard to find real news nowadays.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, and the newspapers and the news channels, they used to stand for something. Back in the 50s and in the 40s and the 50s, they used to be like an unbiased approach to what's actually going on.
It wasn't monopolized either.
And I mean, back then on like CBS and NBC, these guys, they weren't controlled by the same conglomerate. And they used to have morals. What you mentioned earlier, John.
Yeah.
They used to have morals, and they, even if it hurt the public, they would tell the truth.
They would and they were willing to tell the truth too.
And they made enemies along the way with like the CIA and other government officials. Like the whole the two Red Scares that happened, the two communist scares that happened throughout history.
Like the Cuban Missile Crisis, or is that what you're talking about?
Well, yeah, that's one of them. You know, that's a real fucking crazy story. I wish we kind of were that podcast, because I would love to do some research into that shit.
We could do that. I don't mind putting some effort into that.
In future episodes, we're gonna branch off. The Cuban Missile Crisis was fucking crazy.
It was nuts, guys. Guantanamo Bay pigs, forget about it.
9/11. You want to talk about 9/11 for a second?
Yeah.
John, where were you? Where were you for 9/11?
I was gonna ask you that too, dude. I was gonna ask Sean. I swear to God,
I think we were in the same class.
Were we? I remember where I was.
I remember where I was too.
All right, so I'll tell you mine. I was in music class.
Yes, that's where I was.
We were in music class together. We were doing the keyboards.
Yeah, and the teacher came in. I couldn't play. I mean, I
played the demos a lot.
Exactly.
Those demos were on point. Let me tell you.
Mary had a little lamb. Yeah, I got that down. But I remember it was a female teacher walked up to our door, and she's like, turn the TV on. Something happened in New York. Teacher walks up, hits TV on. And like, I think we see the second plane fucking crash in. It's like
right into it. Yeah.
The fuck.
We were like,
we thought it was a joke. I made a joke. I'm like, oh, that must be my dad. Ha 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 ha. You know, I said some stupid joke.
I thought it was a movie. I swear to God, I thought it was fake.
And then like the principal came on, Miss Buchanan, I think her name was.
I don't remember.
She's like, teachers, turn the TVs off.
Yeah, all teachers turn the TV off.
We're gonna have a discussion about what's going on, and I don't know if we went home early, but I remember going home, and every channel, like even like Nickelodeon, was like showing the fucking news.
Cartoon Network. They took Cartoon Network off the air for a little bit because of it.
Oh,
that was crazy.
And you know, you want to talk about some lies, man? Like, wow, because there were lies coming out of who started it, of what actually happened, and there's so many truths and lies out there.
Even the cover-ups, though.
For a young kid, I lost so much faith in the government. I lost so much faith in how our government handles things. And I didn't see, like, I saw a president come on TV and he looked sad, but he said a bunch of empty words. Like, you know,
I think the part that got me was there was two things. The first thing was Flight 97, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Flight 97 went down and nothing survived that crash except for some dude's passport.
Yeah, some passports and some
passport.
I've seen plane crashes.
I've seen plane crashes.
Yes,
I actually did. I remember vividly going on the computer and looking up plane crashes on Google and looking at the wreckage and then comparing it to this hole in the ground that I saw in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. But then it's like where did the plane go?
Where did the plane go? Like where?
And even the Pentagon, like
the Pentagon, especially.
There's
a big hole. Like,
there's video footage from like the Sunoco across the street of the plane going in that was seized by the FBI, the CIA. Took the videos and all the copies that apparently showed the plane crashing in, like proof that the plane crashed in. That video's never been released.
Or never been shown,
yeah. Mm-hmm. And like it's not going to be released until the Freedom of Information Act is put into effect with it.
Which is like 50 years?
60 years.
I
do know all the JFK's assassination stuff.
Does that come out soon?
I think it did. I think it came out in like 2016. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because and it's again, it's so much information that you don't know what's truthful, and like, yeah, the guy's fucking passport, like, and the same thing happened in I think one of the towers, through all the rubble and all the debris, they found the fucking passport to the terrorist.
I think the craziest part about that, honestly, and this still bugs me to this day, is how the towers fell. Which was free fall tower. Like it dropped like a pancake on top of itself. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, to be clear, that I do think the planes hit.
I think the planes did hit. I think that was real. I think that's
I don't think they were bombs. I don't think they were wired to blow up. That's way too much to control.
I don't think that the jet fuel could catch fire enough to melt the support beams. I think that's crazy.
But I don't think they wired it to C4. I don't think that happened because I think that's way too much to control. That's like there's way too many loose ends there because you got to have somebody going in there and fucking wiring the fucking
wire. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like, that's crazy, And I did hear stories of people opening the elevator shafts and molten metal coming down.
Yeah,
like again, thermite. I'm not a scientist. I don't know what the temperature is, but all I know is how it looked and how it made me feel and how it makes me feel to this day.
Right. And as a 13-year-old, 14-year-old, that's still like something that's ingrained into my head as like my first concept of terror.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And trauma. Those are concepts that I think we should talk about sometime in the near future is trauma. Definitely. and
trauma. Yeah. I think that's probably going to be one of the next couple episodes actually.
And why that carries with us. And, it ties into honesty, it ties into truth, and ties into anger, it ties into sadness and like depression.
Circle.
Yeah. These things that we talk about, we carry with us for a long time. And they're almost like anchors that we hold on to. And one of the reasons why we think that honesty
ball and chain
is so powerful is like we ultimately start to let go of those balls and chains, those anchors on our hearts. And I'm going just by experience here.
Yeah, of course.
You feel so free for the first time in your entire life when you start to become honest. You feel so revitalized in being
and
good.
That's how you process trauma.
Mm-hmm.
By shoving it down and holding it inside or numbing it. I'm a serial number.
Yeah, serial number. Yeah,
you're not dealing with it. You're actually you're making it worse in some cases.
Absolutely.
And by being open and honest, you're able to grow and to change and to make it easier to be honest. You're making it easier for future events for that to happen. So like, I do think this is, that's a perfect tie-in for a later episode, Trauma.
Yeah,
definitely.
For sure. We're gonna nail that too.
But,
just like how we nailed honesty today.
Yeah, no, and but like even going back to like government honesties, like,
oh yeah, for sure, like
societal honesty is crazy. Like how how we allowed slavery to happen for so long. Like we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, said Thomas Jefferson, that owned slaves. Like what? Like, or like Columbus trying to discover the new world, or whatever, the new world. Like,
by the way, he thought he was in India, by the way.
He thought East India. East India.
He was like, this is India, right?
Yeah, right.
Nah, this is like a different continent,
dude. And that's why we called them Indians. And it's like,
I know,
dude,
how fucked
I was reading the book White Fang, and it was written a long time ago, and it kept saying Indians, and I was telling my partner about the Indian camp and everything, and she looked at me and was like, "What are you talking about? Like in Alaska?" And I'm like, she's like, "There's no Indians in Alaska or in North America," and I'm like, "Oh fuck, you're right, Native Americans. Oh fuck,
Native Americans. Oh my god, Native Americans."
The book made me racist. We laugh, but like it's
true.
That's where the systematic racism comes from. Mm-hmm. It was our language.
It was in our textbooks.
Whoa, dude! It was our fucking textbooks.
Yeah.
And there was a word that kept popping up in the book White Fang, and this is a book that is they read this in elementary schools still to this day.
Is this like the dog racing thing?
Yeah, hold on. Let me get real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, I gotta talk
see amongst yourselves.
Yeah, please talk amongst yourselves, or listen to my beautiful voice as I talk about random stuff. I think it's gonna be like Balto, which was the Eskimo dog that was half Eskimo dog and half wolf, and raised and took out people to save them from some kind of flu or something like that.
No, that's Balto.
Yeah, this isn't like Balto.
It's close. This dog doesn't talk. But
Balto didn't talk, did it?
Balto talked. I mean, in the cartoon, yes. I guess in real life, no.
Okay. But show me the White Fang.
If this is backwards, I apologize. White Fang by Jack London, and this book doesn't mean to be racist, but it is, because it describes to me in the beginning of the book two white guys in perfect detail, and I get first names, and it's like Bill and John, and I get a nice little picture of them too.
Oh, look at that!
And dude, it's like he's really nice to the white people.
Do we have any Native Americans
when
in there?
When it gets into the Native Americans,
oh my god!
Yeah, they calls them Indians. He calls the women squaws,
which is really, really a bad derogatory term.
It's a derogatory term.
Yeah.
And he calls, he makes all the kids.
Oh my god! Is that wolf eating that kid?
Well, all the kids are mean. They're really mean to dogs. The Native Americans treat the dogs like shit, but the humans. The white guys treat the dogs very nicely, and
the white humans treat their dogs so nicely.
This kind of honesty, this is what systemic racism looks like. This is taught in schools, and it's not politically correct. It's very offensive. But Jack London, I don't know if he was a racist. I didn't look it up, but that's just how they talked. It was his language. That's how he knew it. But yeah, I mean, I by mistake, I was reading this and saying this, and my partner looked at me like, that's not what you call them. And I'm like, whoa.
Oh god.
Oh fuck. Yeah, exactly. I'm happy I didn't go online and start talking about it.
Yeah, that's
other than right here, but yeah, dude, fuck, and that's something, today, I'm so happy that the racism talk is happening, and that it is coming out, because our parents' generation, still, a lot of them don't fucking get it. They don't fucking, they're like, I like, make America great again. This is, it should be that way. Like, no, it shouldn't be that way. We were racist.
Yeah.
We were fucked up. We were mean.
Yeah.
We didn't,
and we were intolerant. There was a lot of injustices.
We were entitled. Like, you want to make it that again?
Yeah, I don't want to live in the 1950s
what are you
again.
Talking about? Yeah, I want to live in the 1950s for one thing: jazz music.
Oh, all right. I think I would be really into microwaves, honestly.
I think I would enjoy beat poetry, jazz beat poetry. Clubs. I think I would enjoy seeing the counterculture come to fruition. I want to go to but horrible things made that happen.
I want to go to like a soda fountain. Honestly, that would be my kind of soda jazz. Yeah. I want to go to like one of those weird soda jerks, man.
Yeah, but again, you'd go to that and it would be whites only, and you're whites like, only. Fuck, man, I can't even enjoy a fucking soda now because this is racist as fuck. God.
And sexist too. Like, why do we want to go back to that?
I don't want to make America great again, because that's not fucking great. No. That's horrific.
I just want to make America better.
I think by talking about this, we can, and this ties back into being honest, because when you start to put yourself into that corner, you can make yourself a bigot. You can make yourself angry and paranoid and spiteful, and you will hurt people doing that. And you'll hurt people for the dumbest things, because they think this, or they think that, or they look like this, or they look like that. Crazy fucking things that, as a kid, I watched Star Trek. And there's this one great episode. I apologize for not knowing the name of the episode, but the Enterprise comes down. Captain Kirk is like he's watching these two people. They have a black face and a white face, but the other country has a black face and a white face. It's just inverted, and they hate each other. They're racist towards each other. And Captain Kirk's like, I don't get it. You're all the same. Can't you see that you're the same? And it's like, dude, we are all the fucking same, and we're still doing it to this day. People are so fucking angry at themselves and at where they are in life, that they will not let you be happy where you are in your life, and they will stomp on you. Look at being what do you call it? Pride. Being open with your sexuality, being open with your political views. If people don't agree with you, or if they're afraid of how they feel about themselves, they're going to take it because out of your opinion. They're going to take it out on you. And it's so, and I used to do that as a teenager, as a young white boy from the suburbs. And John, we came from a white fucking town.
We did. We sure did.
A lot of white privilege. Kind of like, we got into trouble a lot, but our trouble was white privilege trouble, where, don't do it again, boys.
Yeah.
Where if we were like in the inner city of a minority, we would have been put in jail, or we would have been fucking hurt.
I'm just happy they never found the Crown Royal. That's all I'm saying.
Oh God, you remember that?
I do remember that. How could I not?
Why?
Oh, remember, but that's what we did.
The book, remember the book?
How could I forget the book? I was the co-author of that book.
I used to think of it as like, haha, we did this. We were defiant. We were like, no dude, I wasn't
mean girl.
I was mean. I was trying to like make myself feel better by putting other people
down. Yep. And that's exactly what we did and I hate to say it, because I'll call myself this. I was a straight up bully. Yeah. And I was.
Yeah. I was talking to another friend of ours, and he said we were texting each other, and he's like, do you ever think about how we were bullies and how we were bullied? And I was bullied, and I in turn
bullied somebody else.
Became a bully. Yep. And I wasn't like pulling wedgies and smashing kids in the lockers. I would say things to them. I would mentally fuck with people. Yep. My older brother would do it too. I would hear his stories from other kids. Yo, your brother said this and that, and I would get like pride from it. Like, yeah, we're fucking badass.
Yeah, we're
Dude,
badasses. Mm-hmm.
That is perfect because like that was I held that. It was like there's PTSD and trauma that I held from that shit all my adult life to this day. I am so fucking I feel so fucking bad about it. And like I honestly wish I could reach out to some people and apologize.
You know, I honestly did.
I don't even know who they are. Like I don't even know names anymore. I think there's one kid I scratched with like a metal claw for no fucking reason, and that shit I carry that with me.
And but see, like we were and we were children. You know what I mean?
We were
like,
fucking kids. We didn't know any better.
But that's where that toxic masculinity of being a man and being a badass and being like the motherfucking sorcerer or however you want to call it.
Lack of a good role model.
Sure, I mean that's absolutely
like my dad. I love my father. He's a hard worker. I've learned a lot of amazing things from him, but he didn't talk. He didn't express how he felt. He was paranoid about how the world worked around him, and I hope he's not going to listen to this. I'm sorry, Father.
Yeah. Parents, you're not allowed to listen to this shit. This is for us and not for you.
But because of that, I picked up on that and I did the same things. And I always thought that I was constantly right. And I'm wrong. I was so wrong. I still am wrong. And if anyone's listening that I've ever fucking hurt, I'm sorry. I apologize. Reach out to me. Talk to me. I'll talk to you. Let's get this off of our chest and grow together because
fully and thoroughly.
I'm done.
I want to and extend that same offer to any loved ones or any friends or not even friends or loved ones, any like associates in passing. Because we don't want to we don't want to cause harm, but like our most intentions are just that they're the best intentions when we try to make them work.
Like I was blissfully unaware of the destruction and damage I was doing. It pushed one of my friends away from me for a lot of years. Like the communication stopped. John, I think you and me actually stopped talking for a while. And,
for sure. At least through our 2010.
Like it wasn't intentional. It's just like, that's just the way things happened. And, I no longer want to carry these burdens with me. And I do want to show the change in character. And I want to try and leave this place better than how I found it.
How you found it.
And yes. And, I know I can't change the whole world, but if we can do one person at a time, whatever, that's my goal. And,
right. And men help other men. That's what we do. We help one another.
We need to do it. We need to do it more. Yeah.
Right. And it can only happen or it can only start with an individual's honesty.
Yep.
Because when you can start to be honest with yourself, then you can start being honest with other people.
Yeah, and don't worry about the fucking government being dishonest.
Yeah, listen, like
come on, the conspiracy
we're dicks like that. Like
I can go into the conspiracies, which is very disrespectful to people that if the conspiracy involves dead people, it's very disrespectful.
I'm sorry, but this is just as much for you and me, Sean, than it is for everybody else listening. And like if those things bother you, I get it. I understand. They're uncomfortable. They're opinions, and sometimes opinions can't be facts.
Yes.
But this is this is part of amongst friends. You get to hear us talk about our things and some things like this. This is part of it.
But reach out to us too. I would love to hear.
I would definitely like to hear something.
Especially if you and me say something that's completely fucking crazy and wrong.
Yeah.
I do want
lay it on us.
I do want to hear that because if I'm being ignorant and saying something that is hurtful or incorrect, I want to know it so I stop it and I can retract it and grow from it. I've been that person in the YouTube comments like, oh yeah, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, or like, you did this wrong.
That guy.
I know, but like I will read it and I will, take it with a grain of salt,
For sure.
But John, I thank you for being out here and talking to me today, buddy.
I thank you for finding these great topics for us today.
This was you, John.
I really
brought up honesty. This was your.
I brought it up, but you did a lot of the heavy lifting, my friend.
Hey, you showed up, and that's
and
sometimes
you know what?
That's all you gotta do.
And that's what our audience does every time they come and listen to us. And we thank you guys for showing up with Amongst Friends today.
Hey guys, thank you so much. I will put the links in the description below, and for the podcast recording by itself, if there's no description, go to one of our sister sites. You'll find some links.
You can find us also on Twitter now, ladies and gentlemen, at Amongst Friends or Friends
Amongst
at Friends Amongst.
Yeah,
that's us. So
also at Instagram, it's at Friends Amongst.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're both the same. I think our email, John, do you have it written down? I think it's AF the podcast at gmail.com.
AF the podcast. So A as in Apple, F as in Frank, the podcast at gmail.com.
Well, A as in like amongst friends.
A as amongst, F is for friends, because that's what we're called.
F is for friends who
do up together. U is for you and me.
N is for anywhere, anytime at all.
Down in the deep blue sea. Thanks, SpongeBob.
John, thanks for joining me today. Everyone else, stay safe, be courteous. Be a person, be people, and remember we're all people.
And be honest, damn it.
Be honest too, guys. Thank you. I love you. Have a great night.
Peace off.